Hi everyone, and we're back with another episode of Coffee with Hiretual. So as the president and editor-in-large at Recruiting Daily, William Tincup is no stranger to having interesting conversations with business leaders in the talent space and talent innovators in the vendor space. So I was curious to know, with so many teams working hard to make sure they're not making the same mistakes they made in 2020, what does William think recruiters should do to go about this? What are some of the interesting things that he's seen and heard? One thing stood out from our conversation. If you want to do better, you need to ask yourself why. Why am I doing this? Why is this not working? William shares more about this, so keep watching. And I hope at the end of the episode, you ask yourself, why? I feel like last year, now that location was out of the question, a lot of things were out of the question.
That's right.
It's almost like, everything that people were so used to implementing just wasn't working anymore.
2020 fast forwarded a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I like. I mean, there's a million downsides to 2020, but some of the upsides is we wouldn't have been able to have this conversation.
Mhm.
We wouldn't have had this conversation. It wouldn't have come up because people would go into the office. Like, it was just normal. And yeah, you'd have some remote folks, but it wasn't like there were so many people that were naysayers and doubters of location, remote work, that when we were forced in February and March that, hey, listen, on Tuesday, everyone's remote, period, end of story. I don't care what your job is, office manager, CFO, doesn't matter. Job's remote. We adapted. Like we figured it out. It wasn't easy, and it's not going to be easy as we think about the flexible or the hybrid workforce and workplace of the future. None of that's going to be easy, but we proved to ourselves, yeah, we're a little bit more adaptable than we gave ourselves credit.
What were some of the most common, I guess, mistakes that you saw a lot of recruiters and HR folk make, in this transition during this whole fast forward process?
So a lot of it is going to be related to guilt and shame.
Mhm.
And so you have two polarities that I'll put. One is you had half of the business community that said, "Why waste a good crisis? This is the time to read those 100 business books. This is the time to innovate. This is the time to reinvent your your business, your tech stack, your processes, etc." So on one side, you had people that basically said, "Well, I got to work harder. I got to go and reinvent. I've got to do like it's a call to action. I've got to maximize and leverage this opportunity." On the other end of the spectrum, you had people that basically were just trying to survive and get through, dealing with mental health, dealing with self-love, dealing with wellness and well-being, and basically just trying to stay afloat. And so in both of those polarities and everything in between, you had people that just had guilt and shame.
Mhm.
They either had guilt and shame on one end because they worked and never really took a break. And now it's about to get busy again, and they're exhausted. They're burnt out. They've got Zoom exhaustion. They've got video call exhaustion. They've got all this stuff. And then you've got people that focused on more of the mental health and the self-help and the making sure that they were, okay going through something that wasn't okay. They've got all the guilt and shame of not being able to leverage the time off or the time away. And so my advice to practitioners and to vendors is just forgive yourself. 2020 was, just madness on like 9 different levels. So just like let that go. Whatever you did on either polarities or anywhere in between, let that go. Forgive yourself, love yourself, and then move forward.
But I think, personally as well, I feel like 2020 gave us a lot of opportunities to really, like, identify new areas of improvement,
Right.
pinpoint bottlenecks. There was just a lot of data to deal
Yep.
with, a lot of data, a lot of fresh data coming in, all these new trends to pick out. And I know that you had brought up something really interesting that I want to dive a little bit into, the whole win loss analysis, seeing
Mhm.
how you can get that data back, seeing what you can actually do with it, dissect it, and then do something different and better in 2021?
So candidate experience has been around for a decade, and we've made some really really good kind of movements, and we're doing a much better job. And even though things aren't great everywhere for candidates, it's far better than it was a decade ago. All right, that's stated and covered. One of the things that is, as TA leaders, one of the things that we want to learn, win-loss analysis comes from sales. It's a kind of it's been around sales for 40 years. It's essentially like when you put in sales, when you put a proposal, a deal in front of somebody, you either win it or you lose it, right? And the analysis part is figuring out like what was the drivers for either the win or the loss. Like what it's kind of that post-mortem reflective, like what went on. So how I brought that over to the candidate experience is basically you could pick any point in the value chain, but I did it at offer letter. And you look at the offer letter, and offer letters go out, and they're either accepted or they're rejected, or negotiated, etc. But let's just take the extremes of one loss. When the win, you want to ask that candidate, why? Why did you say yes? And there's two questions. So why did you say yes? And could we have done anything differently, to improve the process? And you want to get them right when they sign the letter. I mean, that's like right when they sign the letter, before they're onboarded, before all the other stuff, they get busy. You want to, while it's fresh, ask them two questions. For those that reject the offer letter for whatever reason, it's why did you turn us down? So be honest. It's okay. We're all adults here. So tell us, what was the reason? I didn't like the travel. I didn't like that y'all, didn't have continuing education reimbursements. I didn't like the hiring manager. All kinds of different things. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But you gather that data. And the second question that you ask folks out on the loss side is you ask them again, is there anything that we could have done to get to a yes? And that data on both sides is really important because it helps you understand, like, you know, you fall in love with a candidate. This happens all the time with hiring managers and recruiters. We source them, we go through the whole process, we fall in love with them, we make an offer letter, and then they say no. And for whatever reason, we just take the no. We're angry and upset and all that stuff, but we don't find out why. And it could be something as simple as my wife took a job in Tokyo, and this job really needs me to be flexible about coming in, once or twice, a week. I'm not going to be able to do that if I'm in Tokyo. And so if we didn't ask, if we don't ask, then we don't know that it had nothing to do with us. It was something that was out of our control. And so, and again, take a look at is there anything that we could have done to get you to yes? We're not trying to get you to yes now. We're trying to analyze what we could have done better. What you're really trying to unearth in win-loss analysis with candidates is those two on both sides, the wins and the losses. And again, I did it at offer letter, but you can do it at other stages as well.
How would you apply that same kind of attention to detail, figuring out the why? Also, when it comes to, buying a new tool or investing in a new form of HR technology.
The technology is always going to be evolving.
Mhm.
So we could have this when we will have this conversation a year, 2, 3 years from now, and we'll have a similar conversation about innovation and technology. So, you know, the conversation around technology generally goes like this: is it making everyone's experience better?
Yeah.
So you've got sourcers, recruiters, hiring managers, and candidates, and then if you want to throw executives in there as stakeholders, you can as well. Is it making, like, if it's a conversational bot, is it making everyone's experience better? And that's how you look at innovation in technology. If it's not making everyone's experience better, then don't do it. I mean, that's it. Hard stop. Wait, let it get panned out, and then maybe revisit it in time. So on one level, I think you have to look at technology critically and say, does it make, with price, quality, and speed, does it make us faster? Make us more efficient? Does it make us, does it drive down the cost of hiring? Does it increase the quality, the quality? Does it make the experience better for the parties involved? And so the technology you can put through a filter, a series of filters to get to the right spot. The other part, I would say, the human part of this is where recruiters and hiring managers, even sourcers, can and should ask the question at that human interaction on those inflection points where there's humanity along the process, is they should ask candidates, how am I doing? How am I doing? How's this experience for you? Like simple, they're not simple because we're so caught up in like the next thing. We got to make these 10 calls, then we got to get onto the thing. You know, if we just stop for a moment and then recognize that like this could be me on the other side of this phone call or this video call, just like, how are you doing? How's your family? How am I doing in this process? Like, how's it going for you? Is there anything I could do better? If we were to actually just keep that, where empathy went up in 2020, which is good. We've definitely got more empathetic. I think if we maintain that and just get better at harnessing empathy to make sure that we have a better experience all the way around with our hiring managers, with our sourcers, with candidates, et cetera, just asking the questions and always like you end the call in your mind asking the question, how am I doing? How are you doing? Can I do anything better? And you know, stay safe, wash your hands, social distance, you know, all that stuff. But the whole idea is that we bring the humanity and empathy to the forefront. And on the technology side, we just make sure that when we buy technology or we're looking at technology, that we're looking through the lens of, is this making things better, or are we just buying technology to buy technology?